Hello, all you wonderful Rise of Kingdoms players out there. This is Dragothien here, and today we're going to be going over the new patch notes. Is this going to be a rant, or is this going to be a, this is okay kind of thing? We're about to find out. I have looked through it already. I was going to do it last night, but I was trying to get you guys some assets to look at on some of the things that are going to be coming with this patch, but I was summarily ignored, so I did not get any assets. So I apologize, but we'll talk about what I was going to try and get assets for and what that means for the game. And, we're going into some of the new age of Rise of Kingdoms, right? There's some big changes that have already happened. There's some good, some bad, and there's certainly some big changes coming in the future as well that you guys are going to want to stay tuned for on this channel. Hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit the bell notification if you have not done so already. Let's go ahead and jump in. So 1.0.45 sunny springtime on or around, and there's no time. Okay, so something to keep in mind. The 12th of April. Now, that is a Tuesday, I believe. On a Tuesday. No, Monday. That's a Monday. So, usually when there's no time, the date is not usually concrete. And usually the reason behind this is because with patches, you've got to get approval from the Play Store or the iOS App Store. And sometimes the iOS App Store decides to be just a smidge finicky and delay things, which is usually when you see delays happen. And when there's no date, there's no time with the date, I would say the 12th might be ambitious. So plan on it being for the 12th, but more than likely it'll probably be later that week. You'll get another email saying it'll be on the 15th or the 16th with time associated with it, which is usually 6 UTC. But anyway, go ahead and do your download, get your download rewards, get all that good stuff. Let's get into the actual specifics on what this actually is going to be. So number one, commander updates. I always like a good commander update section. It's talking about skill lock, people. So all of you that keep asking me every day, when is skill lock coming? Supposedly the 12th of April is the date. So just remember that. Skill lock is supposed to be done. Skill reset items will be coming with it, so everyone can take advantage of the new function. They'll be sending out some more updated specifics around what the skill lock, skill reset setup will be. I very highly doubt that they're going to give you what you put into it. So what I mean by that is if you did Charles 2 years ago and you put 400 Charles sculptures into him and 290 universal sculptures, I very highly doubt that they're going to give you that exact setup back. I doubt they're going to give you anything, okay? They're going to give you a little tick box on the right that says how many points you can use, and that'll be it. They're not going to actually give you the sculptures back. That's just my thought process behind it. I have no inside knowledge on it. That's just the way I see it happening, because can you imagine if they actually give you back what you used on these commanders? I would not use the skill reset stuff to do skill lock things for some of the newer commanders. I would redo my earlier commanders, get all the universal sculptures that I used on those gold key commanders and on those commanders from the wheel and things like that, and I would take those back and then use all the gold heads that I now have of, say, Charles, right? I've got 500 extra Charles sculptures. I can max them twice over in 2 years of gameplay and use those. And now I have an extra 300 gold sculptures. So I don't think that's going to be how they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a little box where you usually do your upgrades on your skills that'll say reset it. This is your skill reset box of allotted points to use for your new commander. I think that's how they're going to do it. That's the only way I think they're going to do it without giving us things for free. Number two, other optimizations. We've received numerous complaints from governors about problems such as lag. Lag's kind of a big thing. When many players are on the screen at the same time, as a result, we're adding what I'm referring to as ants on a screen, because that's the only thing that they can do is they can remove all the graphic effects. They can basically have one commander running around, and that's it. You won't be able to see when your commanders cast anything. You won't be able to see any of the graphics of the casting. It'll just basically be ants on a screen. That's the only thing I can see being able to do that. Again, it'll help players that have a problem with lag because of a device that they have, but this will not really do anything to help the lag on the server from a Lilith perspective, because all of that information is still being sent to the client side, being you. Okay, so that's how things work. You got server side and you got client side. Server side, all that data is still generating and being sent. It's up to you whether you want to actually receive and use that data, which is the client side, which is what these skill setting or graphics setting reductions are. So if you have an older device, if you have, again, like it said, a KBK that's got 5 Imperium kingdoms in it, where you've got just thousands of players on one screen, this will help because, again, technology is just not that advanced to be able to handle something like that. So that will help you on the client side, but it will not help Lilith side server load. That's something that they need to handle on their end, which, again, we've already gone in depth on what that actually means in other videos. Number 2, we have added an explanation to the chance to forge special equipment. Again, they're being very specific here in saying there's no changes to procking your equipment. It's just giving you a description on your chance to actually get the proc, okay? So this has always been in the game, and I think everybody here knows that if you haven't procced a piece of equipment for a certain amount of crafts of equipment, then your chance is higher than if you were to do it right off the bat. That's why I usually recommend people do 3 or 4 gray pieces to get that 60% hopefully chance or something like that to actually proc your nice stuff, and then again obviously dismantle your gray stuff that you used as your buffer for your luck. So kind of look at that as the way that the star system works, where you use different stars and it increases the luck that you get on starring up your commander so that you can proc a ×2 or ×5 or whatever it is chance for the points. Number 3, added more commander support skills to Heroic Anthem. That's nice. So I would just like to see this be universal. I don't think that it's fair that some Heroic Anthems have the 4th skill of Tamiris as one of the support skills, whereas other Heroic Anthems have the 2nd skill of Charlemagne. It's just not the same thing. It's not the same experience. I think if you're going to have Bastion support skills, just make it universal across the board. Use the same commanders, use the same skills so everybody can understand what they're about to get themselves into. Because if for some reason you are the unlucky recipient of a rally plus swarm with 10 plus Tamiris 4th skills, you're going to die real quick and you're going to lose a lot of troops. So make it universal is what I'm going for here. Number 4, you can now view camp information in the Eve of the Crusade event. That's kind of cool, a little helpful. Number 5, you can now view information on governors who are not part of your alliance by tapping their troops on the map. Is it kind of like giving you the option to basically click their portrait kind of thing, where you click a little button and it opens up their avatar and their profile? That'd be kind of cool. I'm assuming that's what it's kind of talking about there. Number 6, a special notice has been added for when your troops are being attacked but are not fighting back. That's very helpful, especially in murder ball situations, especially in KBK swarm situations. That would be nice to be able to know, because a lot of times you'll click attack, but then nothing actually happens, or you will drag and drop on top of an enemy, but he'll move at the last second, but the game doesn't really show you that graphically, and you think you're attacking, but you're not really attacking. Those are all helpful, so this will be something that will help fighting. Number 7, to allow governors to enjoy a wide variety of city themes. Active limited time. Okay, that's basically saying you get the full duration of the active city skin. It doesn't go away if you switch it in the middle of the duration and you've lost a 3-day skin. If you used it only for a day and then switch city skin, you still have 2 more days to use it. It's still selectable. You just go back and forth. Number 8, optimize the calculation method for Imperium kingdoms. This interests me. I'm into Imperium kingdoms with 916 and 307. I'm curious to get some more details on that. I will be digging into that for you all to figure out exactly what that means. I don't think it is reflective of the next sentence, which is troops in the Hall of Heroes will now be returned at the end of the season of conquest, regardless of whether or not the governor is online. That's a whole different can of worms. The first sentence, optimize the calculation method for Imperium kingdoms. I think that's separate, because the second sentence has to do with Imperium kingdoms being able to do mass migrations, which was also nixed with the 1 migration per minute rule, but still was able to be gotten around because of the second sentence, which is when at the end of Heroic Anthem, or really any KBK, but specifically Heroic Anthem, you were able to migrate in 5 billion power if you had it organized as an Imperium kingdom, which basically turns you into a super Imperium kingdom. And other kingdoms out there that are now in the 28 to 30 billion range in the top 300, that's what they did for the last 3 seasons. That's what they did. So newer Imperium kingdoms, we're not going to be able to take advantage of that. So that's going to be a thing. Also, again, there was an earlier non-Heroic Anthem version of that where you could maybe get about 2 to 3 billion power in. But with the Heroic Anthem deal where you lost half your troops, or you got half your troops back, if you didn't log in, you wouldn't show up server side or client side. And that basically triggered the system to be like, cool, these guys aren't Imperium anymore. They really fought hard. When in all reality, they did. They just haven't logged in yet. And then it allowed all these people to migrate in. And if you really set it up well before the 1 migration per minute rule, you could load in billions of power worth of players and then let everybody log in again. That's how that works. So they've effectively nerfed that. That was the worst kept secret for Imperium kingdoms in Rise of Kingdoms, was that functionality, and now it is effectively gone. There's been some videos out there posted about how to do that, and there's also been some other players who have, I know for a fact, went to developers and said, hey, this is happening, you should stop it. So now we're into the patch note that's now describing the effective end of that being a thing. Number 9, to ensure Governor's basic gathering needs are met. This is a hilarious description, by the way. so you can gather better. We've added a siege unit zone in addition to the hospital, which will allow a number of siege units to be healed without impacting hospital capacity. So to me, it makes sense, right? A hospital, right? A hospital is not a place where siege engines go to get healed. That should be a workshop or a wood shop or carpentry place or something like that, right? Because siege engines aren't alive. That's not a thing. And so why is hospital capacity being taken up by siege units? I mean, maybe the people who use the siege units, like the ones that fire the siege units for you, maybe that's what it's referencing. But obviously, you can't give a siege engine medicine. So I'm not sure exactly what this is going to look like. There may be a secondary hospital within the hospital where the siege units go. I think if it's unlimited, because it doesn't really say, it just says will allow a number of. So maybe it's going to be limited. I just don't know what the actual number is going to be here. Traditionally, you need about, if you're going T1, you need about 180 to 200,000 siege units to fully farm at any given time. Higher level KBK nodes. The higher level units do have a little bit of an increased load, so those are lower amounts that you need, but they also have healing costs should there be a farmer killer aboot. So you may need to pay attention to that, but that'll be interesting to see. I wonder if this will have any impact on city rallies as well, because again, traditionally, if you've got T1 siege, those are going to go into the hospital first when you're rallied or attacked or swarmed or whatever. So you're effectively killing regular troops so that your hospital can house those T1 siege units. To me, that's a good change if they take the T1 or any siege unit for that matter out of the hospital rotation altogether and just have the hospital for archers, cav, and infantry. That would be pretty cool. This also, to me, screams to me that we're going to have another unit added into this game. I'm calling it here today. To me, this means that they're going to add another type of unit into this game, and they're making room for it by removing the siege away from the hospital. That's just my thought process. Again, no information, just it makes sense to me why they would do it if they're adding another unit into the game. Number 10, star characters feature to the character management screen, basically giving you the ability to customize your commander screen. Or I'm sorry, not your commander screen, your city screen. So when you're going to switch cities, it's not going to necessarily just be because of the power level of those cities. You can actually bring particular cities to the top so that you don't have to go scrolling through if you have 10, 15 accounts on one login, which God bless you. Um, I don't have that. I have mine spread across multiple different accounts, thank goodness, so I can have them all active at one time. But you can do that now. That's the thing. Number 11, in order to make managing member applications easier, you can have a hard cap on your power requirements. So say, again, you're the top alliance, right? Quote unquote top alliance with the highest power, because that makes you a top alliance. Ooh. You can say, I don't want to have anybody under 40 million applying to this alliance because we're that good. And screw you guys that are lower than 40 million power. Well, you can do that now. That's a thing you can do. So there's a hard cap. So if a 30 million player decides to say, hey, you know what, I want to try and get into a bigger alliance where maybe I can be a little more effective and help some people out and fill some flags, you can tell them no. And not only that, you don't have to actually talk to them. You can go ahead and just set the hard cap on your alliance and say, don't even bother applying, buddy. You can't even get into the list. So that's a thing now that will be coming with the patch. Number 12, added a number of alliance symbols for governors to choose from. This is the one I wanted to try and get the assets for, because it's not going to impact gameplay if you guys know what the assets look like before they're released. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a specific number of symbols that are going to be usable. It'll be universal, just like all of them. And it won't impact, obviously, unless they are so fierce that you strike fear into the heart of your enemies with these new alliance symbols. But I'm interested. We've been using the same alliance symbols for 2.5 years. I'm interested to see what the new symbols look like. I'm kind of intrigued. I know it's not fighting based. I know it has nothing to do with PvP, KVK, Osiris League, Ark of Osiris, Commanders, maxing out stuff, all the fun things that people love to watch and experience on this channel. Alliance symbols. It's the one thing I'm looking at on this whole patch note. And I wanted to get the assets for it. I asked the developers last night whenever this patch note came out and was hoping to have it in my little inbox in the morning. But sure enough, I'll check again just to make sure. Yeah, no response. Sorry, guys. If I get them, what I'll do, you have to be subbed to get this, by the way. So if you haven't, hit the sub button. I will throw it in the community page so that you guys can get them first and foremost before anybody else does. And that'll be for everybody. You don't need to join the channel and pay for it. It'll just be for everybody. All you got to do is hit the sub button because that's, free. It's free. Super free. Number 13, sorry. I love number 13. Optimize the kill records and ranking calculation methods to better take into account the tier of troops killed. So really love that. Really love that. I think that's also going to extend to dead. So optimize the kill records, meaning to me it says kills, but I think this also will apply and extend to dead. So your dead number that you have on your profile, if it says 6 million or 8 million, that's respectable, right? Well, if it's all T1, not so respectable because you're a dirty feeder. I was going to say something different, but I stopped myself. Number 14, the Deceptive Troops item is going to be updated. Pretty cool. I have about 8 bajillion of these because nobody uses these because it's a joke. Because if you use it, you just cut the troop number in half and now you have the real number and everything is right with the world. They're going to change it. And I think some people have been tossing around some ideas on what this could look like. It says basically it's been super easy to figure out when people have deceptive troops on and super easy to figure out what the actual number is. With this in mind, we've changed both the effect and description to add more uncertainty. We hope this item's new design will provide more avenues for strategy going forward. I think, and I agree with some of the people who have thought this, I should say, because I didn't come up with it, but it made sense when I read some people in the 100 mil chat kind of discussing what this looks like. I think it's going to be, a lot of people think this is going to be, it'll adjust the garrison. Like if somebody scouts you, right? Because this is really a scout item, right? If somebody scouts you, it'll show different garrison commanders, and it'll show different tier units, and it'll be more deceptive than it currently is. It's gonna mess with everything that a scout report tells you. So garrison commanders themselves, the amount of garrison troops, the type of garrison troops, the tier of garrison troops, the watchtower, all that stuff. It's going to mess with all that. I think that would be the best way to do it, especially the garrison commanders. I think that's really, really cool if they were able to change that, because people do scout still. I mean, I don't, but people do scout still, and do their rallies based off of what they scout. So if you have some of the newer commanders like YSS and Theo and Zenobia, and with this new supposedly Cav based garrison commander that's coming out, if you have some of those high tier garrisons, you might not want people to know about it. So when they send the traditional Attila Takeda, you can absolutely jack up and wreck that rally with the proper commanders, and they won't even know what's happening until they hit, and they're gonna have to break, and then they're gonna get swarmed, and all that good stuff. So overall, from a ranting standpoint, some very funny things in here that I think that we can all have a chuckle at and really kind of go over and discuss. There are some important things in here that are very, very good to understand going forward. And my game decided to go ahead and reload just out of the blue, but you get my drift, guys. This is a pretty decent patch coming up. I don't see anything that's bad, for instance. I know that from a skill reset standpoint, I think that the actual skill reset system, or the skill lock system, is a little janky. I'm not a fan of the way that I feel like I've seen people describe what it's going to be looking like. I think it should have been just a generic lock what you want, don't lock what you don't want. The map needs to refresh, evidently. So again, overall, I think good patch. If you guys want to leave any comments in the comment section below, please do. Again, I will continue to try and get those assets for you guys so you can know what some of the new Alliance symbols are going to be looking like. I think that'll be pretty cool. And again, I will put that on my community page for you all. So to see that, you need to be subbed. Go ahead and hit that sub button, hit the like button, and again, the bell notification so you get the daily content that your boy is putting out, which is clearly high-end and very high production value with the network disconnection and the refreshed map data. So hope you've enjoyed. I will see you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one, and take care.